one of Hollywood's hottest hunks.
Oh yeah, it's really believable, isn't it?
From learning the facts of life to making pulses race in the ER, George Clooney's rise to fame wasn't always easy.
Yeah, I guess you gotta do what you gotta do.
But he rode out the perfect storm and became one of Hollywood's most sought-after sex symbols.
What would you do if I kissed you right now?
George Clooney, on today's edition of Hollywood Stars. George Timothy Clooney was born May 6, 1961 in Lexington, Kentucky, to Nick and Nina Clooney.
I lived in Kentucky. There wasn't really any stores to shoplift from. You know, you just shoplift from each other. You know, I'm going over to that guy's trailer and I'm going to steal his big wheel for a while.
His father worked as a local reporter and often took George and his sister Ada to the studio. As George grew up, he learned the technical side of the business by working behind the scenes of his father's show. Although he was raised in the TV industry, he vowed never to be a part of it.
But I'm from Kentucky, so we try to stay out of trailers. You know, it's not a status symbol for me.
While contemplating what to do with his life, he received a call from his cousin Miguel Ferrer. Miguel was in town filming a movie called And They're Off. George went to visit him on set and ended up with a small role in the film. The movie was never released in theaters, but George decided acting would be his new career.
You know, I'm pretty good at this. I was kind of built for this one a little bit. I was raised for it.
George worked odd jobs to save up enough money to buy 1976 Monte Carlo and headed to Hollywood. Once he arrived, he lived with his famous aunt, Rosario Arijon, who passed away June 29, 2002.
Oh yes, I sing exactly like her. That's the problem. No, there's only one singer in our family.
George went from audition to audition and eventually landed a few roles on TV pilots. Ultimately, the networks didn't buy any of them.
I grew up around that and have a good understanding of what this is. You know, this kind of white heat that gets around things when they're going well, and how quickly that goes away. And you have to understand why it comes and why it stays and why it goes away, and understand that it does go away, and then it's pretty easy. You know, then you can just enjoy the run, because it's a fun run.
One of his parts included a stint on the sitcom, ironically called ER, as a hospital intern.
I'm lucky, I'm mostly kind of this idiot that wanders into great things and goes, hey, great.
His first big break came with a recurring role on The Facts of Life. But unfortunately for George, the show was at the end of its run.
If you're an actor and you're making a living at all, you're beating the odds. That's the simple truth. You know, the truth is about 5% of the people in our union make more than $5,000 a year. So the truth is, if you're making a living at all, you're winning. Even if it's not a very good show, that's never really the issue. The issue is just getting jobs.
His next break came with the role of Booger on the first season of Roseanne. George was having a hard time being taken seriously in Hollywood because of his good looks. The producers of Roseanne found that their female audience loved him even though they were supposed to hate his guts. His time spent on the set of Roseanne ended up being a life-changing event, but not necessarily for his career. George found true love. Yes, it's true, George met his first true love on the set of Roseanne.
Did the first season of Roseanne, and this pig, was a little baby pig, was doing a guest shot on it, you know. And I liked him, and I said, I want that pig. And the lady said, okay, and I bought him. But every holiday season, he gets a little nervous, you know. Put this apple in your mouth, Max.
Okay, he's kidding. But Max really did save him when a quake hit L.A.
He woke me up about maybe a minute before the earthquake, and I had a 7 a.m. call. I was furious. I was kicking the pig. And then everything, my house just was destroyed. You know, I had hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage on my house. And I'm running out of the house naked, you know, trying to get out of the house, and the pig is running next to me. And there's a guy who's living in the apartment downstairs of my house. I have a separate house. He comes running upstairs, and he's naked. He's got a gun, because he thought someone was breaking into the house. We're all hiding underneath this lattice work in the front. And I kept saying, you know, because I'm trying to find a note to write to my parents in case I get killed. You know, that's not what they think. 2 naked guys, a gun, and a pig.
After Roseanne, he landed a few roles in movies such as The Return of the Killer Tomatoes, Return to Horror High, and Red Surf. George Clooney's big break finally came when he auditioned for a new TV pilot called ER. The show took a unique perspective, showing the mental, emotional, and physical tolls working in the ER takes on doctors and nurses. With the success of the show, scripts came pouring in, and George could pick and choose his movie roles.
I'm really lucky. I get to work on a really good television show and then work with some of the neatest people in film.
Clooney began to make a name for himself on the big screen. He scored his first major movie role opposite Quentin Tarantino in the Robert Rodriguez film From Dusk Till Dawn.
Now, this is my kind of place.
Taking on a character that the American viewing audience wasn't used to may have been a little risky for this sexy star, but he went for it anyway.